The 49ers moved the ball at will against the Bears on Sunday, but they had to settle for 4 field goals in the first half. They missed one, and then they made 2 more, and entered this possession trailing 13-6 with just 1:16 to go in the half. Now I've started the analysis here because I think it's on this drive that we really see the turning point in this game and the 49ers offense roar to life. And on this first play, we're going to take a look at a pass that was incomplete. Now let's start off taking a look at Garoppolo. You can see that the pass rush is bearing down on him, and he's already started his throwing motion. He may have started that motion a hair early, as Brandon Aiyuk is nowhere near ready to make his break. He's running a comeback route. And you can see he loses his footing, and the timing is off, and the ball isn't there, and the play just didn't work. But it's how the Niners responded to this that I absolutely love. They've really been trying to get Brandon Aiyuk going this season. And here, on the very next play, they come right back to him. Brandon uses some nice footwork to gain some easy separation on this slant, and it's a completed pass. Shanahan liked that play so much, he called it again, and the 49ers go at Brandon Aiyuk on back-to-back-to-back plays. And again, watch his footwork here because it's really good, and this time he runs the slant deeper down the field. Now remember, I told you this drive started with 1:16 left in the half. So those 3 plays took off some time from the clock, and now there's only about 25 seconds left. And the Niners are still quite a ways away from scoring position. They're going to have to dial up a deep shot here. Now, I know that Kyle Shanahan doesn't really like to do that very often. Deep shots are low percentage plays. But here, because of the game situation, the time left on the clock and the field position, the situation calls for it. And the Bears should know that. It seems crazy to me that the safety here just makes a colossal error stepping up to cover this underneath route and allowing Deebo Samuel, of all people, to blow right by him. It kind of reminds me of in Quigley Down Under when he says, "I said I didn't like using the pistol. I didn't say I didn't know how to use it." Garoppolo spots the mistake and throws a perfect dime to Deebo Samuel 50 yards down the field. What do you need to throw the ball deep? Time. Fortunately, the Niners have the number 1 graded player in the NFL on their team, Trent Williams, and he's not letting anything get near Garoppolo. They're able to spike it with just 7 seconds left, and they do take 1 shot at the end zone, which they didn't get, but they do take this field goal as time expires. And yeah, you might think, all right, the Bears held them to 3 points, but that was essentially a free 3 points that Chicago gave to the 49ers. That was a big mistake on defense, and the Niners capitalized on it immediately. All right, let's move ahead to the third quarter. And here, the 49ers are in a bad situation. They're facing a 3rd and 19. Now, you might think that they would call another deep shot faced with that down and distance. But look at their position on the field. They're backed up. That would probably not be a wise move and could expose them to a negative play like a sack or even a turnover. So the coach does the sensible thing here. He calls for a screen pass. I know fans hate it when teams call for the screen pass on 3rd and forever because it usually doesn't get them enough yardage for a first down. They would like the team to be more aggressive. Well, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. The coach doesn't want to call that screen pass either, right? But he knows that sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. It's the smarter move, and that's why you see teams do it. So, let's talk about what the screen pass is, why it's called, and what the Bears should have done here. We've talked about it before, but just real quick here. The 49ers offensive line will allow the Bears defensive line to beat them on purpose so that the offensive lineman can go down the field and block, usually for a running back. In this case, it's going to be a bubble screen to Deebo. And these kinds of wide receiver screens have become more popular in the NFL in the last 10 years or so. Now, how should the Bears defend this? Because you can see that Deebo's going to have blockers out in front of him. The answer is to simply not rush the quarterback. Again, the Bears should know the situation here. They should know the 49ers are faced with a 3rd and 19. They should know that they're probably going to call a screen pass with their field position. Now, of course, it is hard to lay off on rushing the passer. Screen passes are especially effective the first few weeks of the season. But we're in week 8. The Bears should be able to recognize the screen at this point in the season. We're halfway through the year. And instead of hanging back, they completely play right into the 49ers' hands and rush the passer, and there is nobody left to stop Deebo Samuel. It's an 84-yard touchdown. Let's go back to the snap. Now all scoring plays are automatically reviewed. And here we're going to get a great look at Deebo's foot staying in bounds as he reaches that ball over the pylon. And watch the official here rules the play a touchdown. So when it's ruled a touchdown on the field, there has to be irrefutable evidence to overturn that call. And this is the angle that the replay officials had to determine whether his foot was in or out of bounds. I'm sorry, to me that doesn't look like irrefutable evidence. If anything, that confirms the call of a touchdown. But inexplicably, they reversed the call on the field. Replay is having a really tough time this year. So the 49ers are going to have to punch it in right by the end zone there. And Garoppolo takes it in himself. Now before we look at the other angle, I want to go back to a few years ago, 2019, late in the game against the Steelers. And there you see the timing of the snap was off. And the 49ers fumble the football and Pittsburgh gets the ball. Fortunately, the Niners would get the ball back and Garoppolo would throw the game-winning touchdown with just seconds left in the game. Okay, now let's come back to this year. And again, we see that the timing of the snap is off. But this time, Garoppolo holds out his arm to Deebo to say, hold on, wait just a second. And since he knows where the blockers are going to be going on this play, he decides to just take it himself. He's just going to follow Kyle Juszczyk here. Keep an eye on Kyle and watch his blocking. Greg Olsen did a great job of explaining this on the telecast. Greg Olsen, by the way, quickly making a name for himself as an outstanding analyst. Now the 49ers would miss the extra point and the Bears tacked on a field goal, so that makes the score 15-16 Bears at this point. But here San Francisco gets the ball back. And with Garoppolo facing the pass rush, he makes a nice move to step up in the pocket because he has both Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel deep down the field. How was Garoppolo able to complete that pass into a crowd like that? Let's take another look. Now the 49ers start with a run fake, and the entire offensive line moves to their left to sell the fake. The defensive line goes with them, but the linebackers do not. Danny Trevathan specifically keeps an eye on Deebo Samuel the whole time. And I mean that literally. Let's watch his eyes here. Okay, he gets a good look at Garoppolo, but here he turns around and his back is turned, and right then is when Garoppolo decides to release this pass. That was really nice. Okay, we're in the fourth quarter now and the teams have switched sides, but this is still the same drive. And I just wanted to show you really quick the blocking of Dan Brunskill here, who does a great job of not getting a penalty on this play. Check out the official who's watching him very closely, but Brunskill has his hands inside the framework of the body, the proper technique. And when Mitchell goes to the outside and the defender tries to follow him, Brunskill lets him go and uses his head, not his hands, on this play. Also worth noting that Mike McGlinchey, who struggled in run blocking a little bit this year, has a nice block as well. It's a clean play that gets the 49ers inside the 10-yard line. I'll slow it down and zoom in so you guys can take a good look at this. Nicely done. On the next play, the 49ers hand it off again. Now, after the handoff is complete, Garoppolo has to fake like he's passing this football. That's one of your jobs as a quarterback, to carry out that fake. And watch as it carries him all the way off the screen. And now we've got a good old-fashioned rugby scrum, but look who comes running back in to assist on the play. Touchdown, San Francisco. Since the 49ers missed the extra point earlier, they decide to go for two. Brandon Aiyuk is wide open, and Aiyuk is back into the fold of the 49ers offense, and that is a good sight. Now, how did he get so wide open? Check this out. You can't see the defender, but it's number 36, the free safety, Houston Carson. And check out the move Aiyuk puts on him, facing completely in the opposite direction before turning all the way around, and he leaves Houston Carson in the dust. Niners go up 7, 23-16, and the Bears would respond with a touchdown of their own, but they would miss the extra point, making the score 23-22. So we still got a tight game here. Niners need to keep this rolling. Now we see the safety for the Bears has learned his lesson. He's not going to get beat deep by Mohamed Sanu, and he allows Sanu to take the inside. From this angle, we see Elijah Mitchell is in motion. Garoppolo fakes the handoff to him, and this time the linebackers do bite on the fake. They step right up, and it's one of the things that allows so much space for Mohamed Sanu to work with. Now, I don't know if they could have made a difference on this play or not. Sanu got great depth on his route, and Garoppolo hits him right in stride. Elijah Mitchell had another good game, and check out this move he puts on the defender. Take a good look at him here and tell me if this reminds you of anyone. Remind you of someone? I mean, look at this. Again, the Niners threaten to send someone deep, and again, the Bears play it safe, opening up the middle of the field for Hasty. Shanahan is in a good rhythm as a play caller, but it's up to the players to execute those calls. So let's take a look. Watch Hasty's footwork here. This is the kind of footwork that has made Alvin Kamara so successful in New Orleans. Garoppolo's feet, on the other hand, are not set, and the ball does sail a little high on him. But Hasty goes up and makes a nice catch, and we know we're going to get one or two of those throws a game from Garoppolo, and Hasty makes him look good here, taking the ball inside the 5-yard line. And Garoppolo calls his own number again and has his second rushing touchdown of the day. Wow. Throws the ball into the stands. Let's take a look, because this one was called by Kyle Shanahan, and it appears to be a play that the Niners might have had ready for Trey Lance. The read option. Garoppolo fakes the handoff to Elijah Mitchell. The defensive end crashes down. Ross Dwelley comes around to pick up Houston Carson, and Garoppolo just follows right on in behind him. Now, an interesting thing happens here as Dwelly doesn't quite get all of Houston Carson, and he comes over to try to make the hit at the same time that Gibson is coming over, and the two of them suffer a nasty collision in the end zone. And here, the Niners go up 8. They have the ball with 4 minutes to go, and they're trying to run out the clock. And here we get to the play that everybody has been talking about on social media and podcasts and Twitter, and it's an outside run to Mitchell, but the talking point of the day is definitely the effort made by Brandon Aiyuk on this play, coming all the way across the field to throw a key block that helps spring Mitchell loose for a 39-yard gain. It's a back-breaking run that puts the 49ers in field goal range and seals the game. But the truth is, this play succeeded because there were a lot of good blocks. Kyle Juszczyk blocks 2 players on this play. First, he obliterates this poor guy. Also notice Deebo Samuel coming over to take out the linebacker with the gentlest crackback block you'll ever see. Trent Williams is devouring some poor soul down the field. And here Juszczyk gets ready to make his second block, but notice the defender's momentum carrying him to the outside. Mitchell makes a great cut, and the defender just kind of almost stops in his tracks and kind of gets turned around. It almost looks like Juszczyk is blocking him in the back. He's not. Mitchell simply just makes a great cut and then heads off to the races to seal the game for the 49ers. It was, in every sense of the cliche, a team effort by the 49ers. The offense puts up 33 points. They get Brandon Aiyuk involved. Deebo Samuel is amazing. Mitchell had another great game. And Garoppolo, behind the outstanding protection of the offensive line, played great. The defense struggled a little bit in the first half. They couldn't quite seem to stop the Bears' offense. Part of that was because Justin Fields simply had an outstanding day. Bears fans, I apologize. I would have liked to have shown some of the tape on Fields because, in my opinion, he had his best game as a pro. He looked really good out there, throwing strikes, running all over the field, and kept the Bears in this game. Now, the Niner defense did adjust late, and they got 3 sacks in the second half, and were able to hold the Bears on some key plays, allowing the 49ers offense to pull away. But think about what you didn't see from the Niners defense. No pass interference penalties this week. They played a very solid game, the entire team, right? So where do they go from here? Well, they've got a tough game against Arizona. Arizona, as we know by now, this year is one of the best teams in the league. They've got the number 2 defense in the league. And they're coming off a tough loss. They're going to be sharpened and focused and ready for this game against the 49ers. Now, the Niners just played them a few weeks ago, and that usually gives the advantage to the team that lost that previous game because they're able to learn from some of the things that happened in that game. In addition, the Cardinals are a little bit banged up. Kyler Murray is hurt. Will he play? Maybe he won't play. We don't really know yet. He's not going to be 100%, that's for sure. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't been practicing. No J.J. Watt in this game. We all remember he dominated the last game, and he was really starting to get it going on the season. He had strung 2 or 3 really good games together, and now Arizona is going to be without him. So that's a big loss. And the 49ers are playing at home. They've got some momentum. It's going to be tough, it'll be interesting to see if, when the going gets tough, if they can hang in there and pull through it. Because we talked about this. Last year, they were a pretty tough ball club. Mentally, even though they didn't come away with a lot of wins, they got some key wins late that kept them in the race, even though they were down personnel and they kind of had to win ugly. Can they win that type of game against a superior opponent? I think they can. The Niners still have that outstanding roster that is full of talent, and George Kittle will be returning this Sunday. So it's going to be a really good game. I think the Niners pull it out, maybe a really close one, especially if Garoppolo can stay hot, have another one of his 4 touchdown games against the Cardinals. Wouldn't that be nice? And maybe they squeak this one out with a field goal and stay in that playoff race. Remember, 7 teams make the playoffs this year. It's going to be much easier for a talented team that maybe has struggled a little bit early in the season to get their foot in the door late. And of course, once you make the playoffs, anything can happen. I want to thank all my new subscribers. You guys are so great each and every week. Tell me what you think. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. I always seem to miss something obvious every week, and you guys just do a great job of pointing it out. I love seeing the discussion. Just the football knowledge that comes from you guys is so impressive week in and week out. I have a great time just checking it all out. It took a long time to make this video. If you could give me just 10 seconds and hit that like button on your way out, I would really appreciate it. All right, it's Niners, it's Cardinals, division rival. This time it's in our house, and you know we are going to be here to break down that film after that game, and I will see you guys then.